Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 2021 Law Day celebration. It looks a little different this year that we are not at LaMafa and we cannot see everybody's faces, but we welcome you to our first and hopefully last virtual Law Day celebration. It's hard to believe that it's been almost 2 years since we were all together at LaMafa celebrating Law Day, but John and I would like to welcome everybody who is attending. Since this is virtual, there will be times where there might be a quick change of screen and cut out while we're switching speakers, so just be aware of that, that it may take a second or two when we are announcing a new speaker. But again, we'd like to welcome you. We're happy to be celebrating Law Day. As many of you are aware, Law Day was first established in 1958 and is celebrated every year on May 1st to mark our nation's commitment to the rule of law. It's certainly been important in the past few years with everything that we have been through to see the importance of the rule of law and how it is the bedrock of American rights and liberties. This year's theme is incredibly important. It's advancing the rule of law now. It reminds us all that we, the people, share the responsibilities to promote the rule of law, defend liberty, and pursue justice. So with that being said, we'd like to continue on with our virtual Law Day celebration. There are a couple of people that we need to extend our thanks to this year for helping make this possible. First, John and I would like to thank our Law Day committee. Some are present in the courtroom and some are watching virtually. We'd also like to thank Judge Malchesky for allowing us to use his courtroom to film this and to be able to stream it to you. And we'd want to thank John Griffin of Griffin Technology Group for being instrumental in helping us pull off the technology portion of this program. So the format is a little bit different this year, but we do want to address a moment of silence for all the attorneys and loved ones that we have lost in the last 2 years. We have, for the last 2 years, since we did not have a Law Day celebration last year, we'd like to acknowledge David Lowe, Judge Gilbert Cave, Kirk Locksterman, Bill Garjul, Don Ricker, F. Michael Apicella, the husband of Honorable Mary Jane Trapp, Walt McNamara, Bob Bialis, and John Hawkins. So please have a moment of silence. Thank you. That being said, I'd like to introduce Josh Strickland, the president of the Lake County Bar Association, for his opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joshua Strickland, the current president of the Lake County Bar Association. Welcome to our atypical Law Day program. A couple thank yous. First to Lori and John and the whole Law Day committee for all their hard work putting this program on. Even though we have all these continuing challenges from the COVID pandemic. Thank you to Judge Trapp, Judge Gibson, and Judge Malchesky for speaking today at today's event. Thanks to John Griffin for handling the technology aspects. Thank you to Ruth Ann and Bethany for all they do for the Bar Association, and congratulations to the recipients of both the President's and Liberty Bell Awards. There'll be more on that later in the program. So one of the great privileges of being Bar President is to open the Law Day festivities. While this year is unlike years past, I'm still honored to be here and to say a few words before we hear from the speakers. This year's Law Day theme is Advancing the Rule of Law Now, which seems like a simple topic at first blush, but it gets a little murkier upon further evaluation. So what is the rule of law and how do we advance it? So the U.S. courts on their website define the rule of law as a principle under which all persons, institutions, and entities are accountable to laws that are publicly promulgated, equally enforced, independently adjudicated, and consistent with international human rights principles. The American Bar Association defines it as a set of principles or ideals for ensuring an orderly and just society where no one is above the law, everyone is treated equally under the law, everyone's held accountable to the same laws, there's clear and fair process for enforcing laws, and there's an independent judiciary, and human rights are guaranteed for all. Now, the lawyer's favorite, the Black's Law Dictionary, defines the rule of law with 5 different definitions. I'm not going to read them all, but the one most applicable here is the doctrine that every person is subject to the ordinary law within the jurisdiction. So there's a lot of similar themes in those different definitions: equality, accountability, independence. Even those definitions themselves don't all match, though. To me, the rule of law is equal application of those laws to all the people that live in the land, regardless of their race or gender or economic status or position. It's the rules of the game, if you will, that are fairly and uniformly applied. So advancing the rule of law then recognizes that the ideal of the rule of law is not always implemented in practice. As attorneys, I think we all know this. On the civil side of the law, the most single impactful impediment from everyone having equal access to the rule of law, at least from my point of view, would be financial resources. Those who have money have more access, both to attorneys, and maybe to the court system in general, than those that don't. Criminal law system has many more complications, and frankly, I'm not qualified to speak on them. Anyway, remember, part of the Lake County Bar Association's mission is to advance the system of jurisprudence, to assist in, safeguard, and improve the administration of justice for the benefit of the courts, the legal profession, and the public. So we as bar members and attorneys should work every day to advance the rule of law here in Lake County and beyond.
Welcome to our first and hopefully our last COVID Law Day celebration. Some of you may recognize the picture here as the main courtroom at the 8th District Court of Appeals. I've spent many hours on both sides of that bench, and I love the solemn feeling of its carved wood, beautiful mural, and ornate lighting. But it's the words etched in gold behind the bench that capture what it means to be a lawyer or a judge, and the meaning of the phrase, the rule of law. It reads, "This is a government of laws, not of men." John Adams wrote, "In the government of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the legislative, executive, and judicial power shall be placed in separate departments, to the end that it might be a government of laws and not of men." John Adams used those core principles when he drafted the 1780 Massachusetts Constitution, which sowed the seeds of the Constitution of the United States, drafted 7 years later. But what is the rule of law, really? To me, it's the most patriotic concept of our democracy. In 1776, the Patriots understood what Thomas Paine described in Common Sense, published in that same year. He described the rule of law this way: "In America, the law is king. For as in absolute governments, the king is law, so in free countries, the law ought to be king, and there ought to be no other." Democracies thrive when the four universal principles articulated by the World Justice Project are followed: accountability, just laws, open government, and accessible justice. As attorneys and judges, we are tasked with the responsibility to create, promote, and guard a legal system that assures the government as well as private actors are accountable under the law, and that the laws are clear, publicized, and stable, are applied evenly, and protect fundamental rights, including the security of persons and contract, property, and human rights. That the processes by which the laws are enacted, administered, and enforced are accessible, fair, and efficient, and most importantly, that justice is delivered timely by competent, ethical, and independent representatives and neutrals who are accessible, have adequate resources, and reflect the makeup of the communities they serve. As one who is sworn to administer justice without fear or favor, my legal opinions do not depend on my political affiliation, my personal opinions, biases, or preferences. I subscribe to the teaching of a wise mentor judge who said, "My legal opinions are based on the law as it exists at the time under consideration, which may be past events or may be current issues. To me, the rule of law does not bend to social influences, religious dogma, personal biases, or prejudices. Legal opinions must be based on the applicable legislative statutes, state constitutions, and the federal constitution. Legislative bodies, are charged with the responsibility of drafting those statutes and are free to be influenced by any and all sorts of current social issues, biases, and prejudices. But judges are charged with the responsibility of interpreting that legislation to ensure that it is enforced as intended, and to making sure that legislative bodies do not exceed their authority or infringe on rights protected by the legislation and the constitutions. A judge must be willing and able to segregate his or her personal feelings and beliefs from the legal issues. That is the embodiment of a government of laws, not of men. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you today on Law Day. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joe Gibson, and I'm a retired judge from the Lake County Court of Common Pleas, and I am honored to be here this morning to speak about advancing the rule of law now. I don't think there's been a more important topic based on what we have just watched and witnessed for the last 12 months than advancing the rule of law. And looking at the theme for this year's Law Day, I was looking it over, and it indicates that it reminds us that we the people share the responsibility of advancing the rule of law. And I got to thinking about it, and it's not we the people, we're lawyers. You are a lawyer. I know you're one of the people, but you're also a lawyer. And by the fact that you are a lawyer, you don't advance the rule of law, you don't share in the responsibility, you shoulder the responsibility. That's what you do. It's what lawyers do. It's what you're obligated to do. It's what your oath is. It's what your duty is. So we do a little more than just share the responsibility. We shoulder that responsibility. Our oath requires that we do that. Our responsibility requires that we do that. And above all, our conscience requires that we do that. I took a look at the preamble and the lawyer's responsibility in the Code of Professional Conduct. And I thought I would take a look there to see what does it say about our responsibility, the rule of law, and advancing the rule of law now. And in the preamble, I'm going to read this to you now because I thought it was rather important. Paragraphs 5 and 6. Paragraph 5 says, lawyers play a vital role in the preservation of society. A lawyer's conduct should conform to the requirements of the law, both in professional service to clients and in the lawyer's business and personal affairs. A lawyer should demonstrate respect for the legal system and those who serve it, including judges, other lawyers, and public officials. And they are entitled to receive the support of the bar against unjustified criticism. Today, that's all we have is unjustified criticism of our laws, of our officials, of those who are conforming. You need to support those people, and you need to support the laws. It indicates further that in addition to this, a lawyer should further the public's understanding of and confidence in the rule of law and the justice system, because legal institutions in a constitutional democracy depend on popular participation and support to maintain their authority. Today, we have a lack of support and a lack of understanding. You as lawyers are in the best position, in the absolute best position, to explain to the society that we live in what the rule of law is, to advance that rule of law, and to do it now. We have just witnessed some of the, in my opinion, some of the most disturbing things attacking the rule of law. The insurrection that we witnessed at the Capitol is something that I never thought I would ever see in my lifetime, and the good Lord knows how old I am. I never thought I'd ever see it. And I witnessed it, and I saw it, and we have to do something about that. We cannot sit back and watch those people who are trying to undermine the rule of law, not trying to advance it, trying to take it away. And as we were told at the beginning of this presentation, Law Day was created in the 50s. It was created by President Eisenhower. It was created as to be in direct conflict with May Day that was being put on by the Soviet Union. May Day in the Soviet Union was a time to display the might, the rule of might. The strongest will rule. And instead, Eisenhower put forth the idea that we are a nation founded on the rule of right. The rule of right is what tells us and sets us apart. And that is what the rule of law is. It is the rule of right, not the rule of might. And it's up to you to assist people to understand that. Are there questions that come up and are there questions that rise? Yes, there are. Are there explanations? Certainly. And you are in the best position to do that and to support the rule of right, not the rule of might. In looking through, as those of you that have known me know that I like to look to others who are a lot smarter than I am to try to get some support, some understanding for this. In pursuing the rule of law and to advancing the rule of law, we also are duty-bound to defend the liberty. And defending liberty is not always as easy as it would sound. It certainly is the right thing to do. It's certainly the thing that we took an oath to do. But oftentimes we need to stand up for unpopular causes. And when we do that, I took a look at Winston Churchill, who I happen to think had a little bit of courage in his background and went through some of the toughest times known to man in our lifetimes. And he said that in talking about the unsupported information is what is such a deterrent to the right of law and to the advancement of law. Today we are fighting against lies that come out and are broadcast in multiple ways. And we've lived through that. We see that through social media. And Churchill said, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on. Well, I submit to you that that's when Churchill said that was probably in the 30s or 40s. Today, with the rule of the internet and to everything that's out there, untruths get across the world in a blink of an eye. And we need to fight those, especially about the rule of law. We need to stand up for and to fight insurrection, to fight mob rule, to fight these things that are contrary to our rule of law. Pursuing justice is another thing that we're duly bound and obligated to do. Remember, as you watch those people being chastised for who they are and what they stand up for, you as a lawyer have an obligation to pursue justice, to defend these individuals. We as lawyers, we are stone catchers, not stone throwers. We are there to defend these people. We are there to defend these positions. Whether they are popular or they are unpopular, they have a right to be said. And you have a right and have an obligation by taking the oath to be an attorney, to be a stone catcher and not a stone thrower. Please remember that. Be a positive thinker. Be a positive influence in advancing the rule of law and doing it now. Once again, it's not always easy. It's not always popular. It's not always the simple thing to do. But once again, looking to Churchill, he said, the positive thinker sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. That's what you can do. You're a lawyer. My goodness, there's nothing you can't accomplish. Be proud of who you are. Remember that. Be proud of your profession. Be proud of your duty. Be proud of yourself. Remember why you are where you are and what you are capable of doing. Not by yourself only, but with your group, with your bar association, with your fellow lawyers. You can stand up and you can take on all challenges. That's what you've done. That's what the law has done, and that's what the law has allowed us to do. We have come a long, long way, and it has been a positive step all along the way, not without difficulty. But today we need your support. We need your efforts, we need your work, and we need your courage. We need to heal this society, and we can only do that through education. Education on advancing the rule of law, defending liberty, pursuing justice. Do it, be proud about it, and be proud about who you are. Remember that we are doing this not for ourselves. We are not doing this for us. We're lucky. We've already accomplished what most people strive to. We're lawyers. We're professionals, and we should be proud of who we are. We're doing this. We're pursuing this. We're advancing the rule of law and doing it now for our children. For those who are not as fortunate as us, for our children, our grandchildren, and those who will follow us. And Justice William Brennan, Supreme Court Justice, has a quote that I'd like to read to you before I conclude. He said at one time the following: "So it is, my friends, with you and me. As we go through life, may we be found lighting the lamps of truth and justice and righteousness, even as our legal forebears before us, so that as time passes and we move from the scene of action, our own children and their children after them, though we be lost to view, may tell the way we went by the lamps we lit along life's pathway." The lamps we have to light are those advancing the cause of justice and the rule of law, and we need to do that now. Thank you very much. Good luck and stay safe.
Good morning. I'm Paul Malchesky. I'm coming from Painesville Municipal Court. Today, being Law Day. My charge in speaking here today was to focus more so to talking to students and the young people of our community regarding the rule of law. Now, the rule of law is not a concept that I reflect upon often, probably because as an American, we take it for granted. We practice it every day, but rarely give it the time to impress upon others how important it is to the American DNA. The definition of the rule of law in many ways is like trying to define the meaning of life. The rule of law is basic, it is essential, and it's fundamental to the concept of the American way of life. We spend our days not thinking about it, yet we rely on it every day. Now, the American democratic system is based upon that there are certain principles that are so important to this nation that the majority has agreed not to interfere in those areas. The Declaration of Independence states, "It is obvious that all people have the right to equal treatment, and that God gives the people the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that can be neither taken nor given away. The only legitimate purpose of government is to make sure that these individual rights are protected, and only legitimate way for such government to exist is the people's consent to the existence." Now, the case in point is the United States Constitution's Bill of Rights. They are passed with the concept that such as freedom of religion, speech, equal treatment, and due process of the law were deemed so important, barring a constitutional amendment, not even the majority should be allowed to change them. Now, Josh Strickland stated earlier today, the rule of law is principled under which all persons, institutions, and entities are accountable to the laws that are publicly promulgated, equally enforced, independently adjudicated, and consistent with human rights. Now, with regards to the courts play an integral role in maintaining the rule of law, particularly when they hear grievances voiced by minority groups or by those who hold minority opinions. Equality before the law is such an essential part of the American system of government that when the majority, whether acting intentionally or unintentionally, infringes upon the rights of the minorities, the courts hear both sides of those controversies. The contemporary definition of the rule of law has been the condition, structure, and institutions, the processes and procedures that must exist so that individuals can enjoy his or her life in dignity, security, and prosperity. Now, 60 years ago, almost to today, in 1961, the United States Attorney General at the time, Bobby Kennedy, spoke at a law day at the University of Georgia Law School. Now, he had an interesting statement in his introduction, and I quote, "They have told me that when you speak in Georgia, you should try to tie yourself to Georgia and to the South, and even better, claim some Georgia kinfolk. There's a lot of Kennedys in Georgia, but as far as I can tell, I had no relatives here and no direct ties to Georgia except one. This state gave my brother the biggest percentage majority of any state in the Union, and in the last election, that was more important than kinfolk. Now today, Georgia certainly still plays a great deal of importance in our political climate. That year in 1961, Bobby Kennedy's brother, President Kennedy, pointed out, to remain free, the people must cherish their freedoms, understand the responsibilities they entail, and nurture the will to preserve them. President Kennedy went on to say, law is the strongest link between man and freedom. Now, when Bobby went down to Georgia for that law day, he was making his position very clear that he was going to uphold civil rights. He was going to hold school systems to the rule of law and to segregate the schools. At the time that he was speaking regarding communism, racketeering, and equal rights. And with regards to desegregating the schools, at the time, he was fighting with Virginia and desegregating their school systems. And he was equating it to the voting rights and equal rights to vote. And he thought he was morally right. He went on to say in that Law Day speech, and I quote, "But my belief does not matter. It is now the law. Some of you may believe that the decision was wrong. That does not matter. It is the law. And we both respect the law. By facing the problems honorably, you have shown to the world that we Americans are moving forward together, solving this problem under the rule of law. An integral part of all of this is that we make a total effort to guarantee the ballot to every American of voting age, in the North as well as the South. The right to vote is the easiest of all rights to grant. The spirit of our democracy, the letter of our Constitution, and our laws require that there be no further delay in the achievement of full freedom to vote to all. Our system depends upon the fullest participation of all of its citizens." End of quote. Now, one of the advantages of the rule of law is it promotes the freedom of the judiciary. The rule of law preserves the Constitution of the land. The Constitution is ultimately the law of the land, and the rule of law ensures the certainty of that law. This being so, when the rule of law operates and the Constitution is preserved, thus the rights of the citizens, where the rule of law operates properly, the citizens become very much aware of their rights and their liberties. This way, we're able to know if their rights are being trampled upon or not. That is advancing the rule of law. There is no doubt that nurturing good governance is essential to ensuring the respect for human rights. And the rule of law, independent courts are an essential component to the good governance. Now, Bobby Kennedy went on in his Law Day speech to what I think summarizes what brings us here today. And I cannot say it any more eloquently than he has said it. And so please, if you would, listen to the late Robert Kennedy as we play it today.
I wonder in how many countries of the world people think of law as the link between man and freedom. We know that in many, law is the instrument of tyranny, and people think of law as little more than the will of the state or the party, but not of the people. And we know, too, that throughout the long history of mankind, man has had to struggle to create a system of law and government in which fundamental freedoms would be linked with the enforcement of justice. We know that we cannot live together without rules which tell us what is right and what is wrong, what is permitted and what is prohibited. We know that it is law which enables man to live together, that creates order out of chaos. We know that law is the glue that holds civilization together. And we know that if one man's rights are denied, the rights of all of us are in danger. In our country, the courts have a most important role in safeguarding these rights. The decisions of the courts, however much we might disagree with them, in the final analysis must be followed and must be respected. If we disagree with a court decision and thereafter irresponsibly assail the court and defy its rulings, we challenge the foundations of our society. The Supreme Court of Georgia set forth this proposition quite clearly in 1949 in the case of Crum versus the state. The court, referring to United States Supreme Court decisions, said there, and I quote, "And whatever may be the individual opinion of the members of this court as to the correctness, soundness, and wisdom of these decisions, it becomes our duty to yield thereto, just as other courts in this state must accept and must be controlled by the decisions and mandates of this court. This being a government of law and not of men, the jury commissioners in their official conduct are bound by the foregoing rulings of the Supreme Court of the United States, notwithstanding any personal opinion, hereditary instinct, natural impulse, or geographical tradition to the contrary," unquote. Respect for the law, in essence, that is the meaning of Law Day. And every day must be Law Day, or else our society will collapse.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you again to Judge Trapp, Judge Gibson, and Judge Malchesky for their moving remarks. All well said and so applicable to what we face today in our society. Moving on to the next stage of our program is the awards part. First, the President's Award. So the Lake County Bar Association annually presents the President's Award on Law Day to an attorney member in good standing who's provided outstanding service to the community and service to the legal profession. The prior recipients of this award are a literal who's who of the Lake County legal community, and this year's recipient is no different. This year's recipient, Jim Dugan, has dedicated much of his legal career to public service, serving in the Public Defender's Office and in the Prosecutor's Office for nearly 40 years. He served on a number of public boards, including the Perry Schools, Painesville Schools, Auburn Career Center, and the Perry Village Planning Commission, as well as some private boards, foundation trustee of St. James Episcopal Church, and on the Painesville, Downtown Painesville organization. Jim's a graduate of East Lake North and in their Football Hall of Fame. Attended Princeton, played football there, and obtained his law degree from Cleveland Marshall. Jim's married to his wife Amy for 34 years, has 3 adult daughters. It's my true pleasure to announce Jim Dugan as the 2021 Lake County Bar Association President's Award recipient.
Good morning, everybody. Josh, Law Day chairpersons, Lori, John, Law Day committee, all members of the Lake County Bar Association, I can hardly begin to thank you enough for this award. I am very, very honored. It's hard for me to believe that I'm on my 41st year of practicing law, and I know there are a number of lawyers out there who have years on me, but that list is getting shorter. And during these past 41 years, I have had the honor and the privilege, from the earliest days of the Public Defender's Office to the Juvenile Court, to Green and Tully, the Cafaro Company, a little office with Bo Leach and with Neil Conway, Conway Title, last 25 years with Chuck Colson's office. The honor and the privilege to work with lots and lots of very dedicated, talented lawyers, support staff, and friends, and I feel very, very fortunate, and I'm very grateful for all their help and support. We truly have a great Lake County and an outstanding Lake County Bar Association. And I'd like to thank my folks, and if you all would just allow me a moment, my mother just passed away last month, day after St. Patrick's Day. After a courageous, long fight with cancer, she would have been 91 on this May 8th. And those of you out there who may have grown up with my 4 sisters and my brother and me in and around Willowick way back then, you know that she attended all our events, particularly sporting events, and would know that she had a very distinct, loud, rapid clap. And listening carefully right now, I can hear that beautiful clap. Thank you, Mom, for everything. And of course, I want to thank my wife, Amy, for all her support over 35 years now of marriage together, my whole family, especially the greatest joys of my life, my daughters Rachel, Maddie, and Caroline, for all their love and support. And to all of you, I wish you all very good health, every success in the future, and I thank you, all of you, from the bottom of my heart for this award. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm John Thomas, the co-chair with Lori of our Law Day Committee. I have the honor of presenting this year's Liberty Bell Award winner at today's virtual Law Day 2021. Just a little recap for those of you who don't remember. The Liberty Bell Award is a public recognition bestowed on a non-lawyer for outstanding service benefiting Lake County. And this year's Liberty Bell Award winner is Dan Troy. So who doesn't recognize Dan Troy? In the past, he's always been involved honoring our previous winners, and this year we get to honor him. So for those of you who don't know, Dan was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and is a U.S. Army vet. He's the former city councilman and council president of the city of Willowick. From there, he spent 7 terms in the Ohio House of Representatives and was chairman of the Ohio House Ways and Means Committee. In fact, as a state rep, he secured over $20 million in state funding for Lakeland Community College Health Technology Student Center, which is great. He spent 5 terms as a Lake County Commissioner and past president of the County Commissioners Association. He also was twice governing board president of NOACA. And presently, he's the Ohio House of Representatives 60th District, returning to the House. So it's my honor to present the 2021 Liberty Bell Award to Dan Troy.
Let me just say what a surprise it was and what an honor it is to be named this year's Liberty Bell Award winner. You know, I've participated in so many of these Law Day breakfasts over the years, and I guess I'm kind of shocked to be on the receiving end. You know, the legal community and its commitment to respect for the law is so important in these days of disinformation, alternative facts, and way too much divisiveness. You know, I've certainly spent most of my life in government and have tried to educate the citizens I've served on how their government works for them. I enjoy explaining to them our wonderful system of checks and balances and how that understanding of how it functions and why they must be active participants as citizens ensures a true government of, by, and for the people. You know, one of my proudest accomplishments in serving Lake County was spearheading the addition to and upgrading of our Lake County Courthouse, which many of you may know included men and women's restrooms on each floor, which we didn't have for about 95 years in that courthouse. You know, I've always thought there really is no more powerful symbol of our American democracy than our county courthouses spread across the landscape of our nation. Thank you for all the contributions that you make to ensure a more civilized society through respect for the law, and thank you so much for this unexpected recognition.
Thank you guys for attending our 2021 Law Day celebration. Again, we'd like to extend our heartfelt congratulations to Dan and Jim for their recognitions today. We'd also like to thank, again, Judge Trapp, Judge Gibson, and Judge Malchesky for their presentations. We'd like to thank the Law Day Committee. We'd like to thank, again, John Griffin. Without his support and expertise, this would not have been possible. I can assure you that. And one takeaway, I think I want to reiterate that meant a lot for Judge Gibson's presentation. Takeaway, be a positive influence and thinker. I think if we could all keep that in mind, we will all be better. Then I don't know if Paul has any closing remarks?
Being fully vaccinated now that I can
We are.
jump in here and say hi, I want to thank everybody for accommodating this virtual Law Day. It's very important, so we're hoping to be back with you all live next year. We're hoping to go ahead and be able to stream this to the students. We're going to tape it this year and get it out to the schools, and we hope to have a better participation by the schools by next year. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys doing it through Painesville Municipal Court. We are very grateful to you guys to be here, to have Law Day, and God bless. We'll see you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.